I don't want to be on the side whereby I'm going to criticize only, but I want to be on the side whereby I can convince, I can give my ideas, I can try to internalize my concept in order to develop my country, in order to develop my community. I can't do that anywhere if I don't participate into that. It's complicated. It's very, 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 very complicated. And this is some of the things that I've been telling them. You have to be there. It doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that you are supposed to study politics in order to be in the governance. No, you can learn from our elders, and from time to time, you are going to be the change makers and change your community. But the only thing that also I try to highlight as well when I'm saying that is to be humble enough, is to be humble in order to learn. Because if you are not humble, you cannot learn from those crocodiles. It's very complicated because they will say that you are going to overthrow them. And that's not the options. The option here is to learn from them, their good side, develop that in order to change your community in the next future years to come. That's the most important and crucial things that I'm going to say about your questions.
All right, Mohammed, you said something very important there. I would like also explore it a little bit, which is learning from those before us. You see, all of us, we are standing on the shoulder of giants, people who have been here before us. That is why we are here. So if we are able to learn from them, they will be able to shape a better future for ourselves and those who will be here after us. Because we're not going to be here forever. We are all just playing a part in a long story. So when we say learn from the past, as somebody who is interested in leadership in Africa, tell me some African leaders that have inspired you that you will want to learn from.
Wow, I'm gonna say that I'm actually learning from most African leaders because they have good sides that I am exploring into and try to avoid their bad side. For instance, when you look at the former president of Cote d'Ivoire, Laurent Gbagbo, he has started his politics combat fighting long time ago when he was a student at the university. And these are some things that his Pan-African ideas, his concept in order to transform Africa is something that I have considered a long time ago. And I have read so many books from African leaders. For instance, when you talk about Paul Kagame as well, Paul Kagame is a good leader. It doesn't mean that he doesn't have a bad side. And me, I'm trying to be optimistic at in any way around the things because I know that I can learn from them. I can take something very important from them and explore that. This is very, very important. But most of the things here currently, most people they are just looking at the bad side of things and they don't want to move forward. That's why in leadership we say that it doesn't mean that how best you are playing with the ball, it's it's how efficient you are. That means that you have to know when to shoot the ball and where to shoot it. It's very important.
That's interesting. That is also inspiring. Yeah, you did make mention of Laurent Gbagbo of Cote d'Ivoire and also Paul Kagame, who is, I think he's the current president of Rwanda, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
He's a man I respect a lot also from what I see he do, from what I hear about him. I've never been to Rwanda. Also, from what I read about him, from what I hear him speak by listening to most of his speeches and the address and all that, he's really an inspiring individual. All right. As somebody who is studying leadership or who is interested in leadership, and you are right there in Rwanda, I want you to tell me what are some of the quality that you see in Paul Kagame that maybe other African leaders. I'm particularly interested in younger African leaders because we know that the older one will soon die away and they will be replaced by the younger one. So our future is going to be based on the younger generation, not the old one who maybe might like to stick to power, like what is currently happening in Nigeria, for example. We see an old man in the name of Bola Tinubu, who who believe that it is his turn to become leader in Nigeria. But leadership is not about turn. It's about what are you going to do for your people at your age. How do you think If you become the leader of Nigeria, you will be able to run the race that is needed to govern a people as complex as this. Leadership is not about the seasons. It's not about seniority. Okay, there are type of leadership that are based on seniority. If you are looking at village setting and tribal settings and things like that, but the type of Republican leadership we are talking about here is not really about that. We're looking at who is able to deliver, who is able to provide the leadership that the people need to be able to move to the next generation. So coming back again to the question, what are the qualities that you like about the person of Paul Kagame as a leader?
One of the characteristics that I'm going to highlight on, because there are so many things. It's leadership in actions and ethics. It's very important because we realize that so many people, they are just in the dreams, and what they say they will not implement that. And every single thing that you are doing, we have to impact the life of our community. It doesn't matter which position that you are holding today. Which matters a lot is the impact that you are going to make into your community when you pass. That's very important. And some of the actions that uh, that are supposed to be taken is through the participatory systems, whereby you are going to be involving several people in order to tackle those things. And this is some of the things that Paul Kagame have been doing so far. And a part about the ethical aspect is that the spirit that these people uh, are holding here is an inspiration for all African leaders to see that we have been going through so many things, but today we have changed things that some people or some countries couldn't change, before. And this is some of the things that we are supposed to grasp a lot, because leadership, it's about character, it's about your ethics, fighting corruptions. As we can see in Rwanda here, we have less corruptions rate. And consider looking at several countries in Africa, it is worse. And we cannot run a country like that. Because when you lead someone, you have to think about the future. And Stephen Covey said that the difference between humans and animals is because humans think about their future. And those people, Paul Kagame and his governance, are thinking like that. They're not drastically thinking about what they have today, but they're thinking about the future of their communities. What are some of the legacy that we are going to be leaving for the next generation to take over in order to follow the same thing that you are doing, and also put into some innovations things in order to move forward? These are some of the things that our governments in so many African countries are lacking or are leaving behind. You'll get the point.
Yeah, I do. I do. And what are the consequences of that? What are the consequences of not thinking about the future? Because that is actually what is happening in many parts of Africa today. In that we have leaders who are only thinking about today and the immediate today, which is tomorrow. Nobody is talking about the far tomorrow, like in the next 20 years from now, in the next 50 years from now, in the next 100 years from now. What are the consequences of that type of mindset?
The type of mindset of that is that the development will not be sustainable at all. The development will not be sustainable because you don't have a long-lasting aspirations. What will be the future that our next generation will be holding so far in order to change? I read a book that the government of Rwanda wrote. Is the vision of 2050. When I met with the executive director of the Fond Monetaire International Monetary Fund, Mr. Fasine Silla, I gave him that book, and he was really inspired about that book. You get? And those are the things that when you read that as the African youth, you are going to get inspired, and you will see this is some of the strategies that I can enact on, I can apply, and even put some innovative ideas in order to change things. But those things are not there. You get? Those are the things that you are supposed to plan. It's even a way to inspire, it's even a way to involve youth to be part of the solution that you guys are taking. Is very, very important. That's the most crucial things that a leader can do for the development of the community. That's why I said that before we start having this interview. I said that leadership is not merely about the positions, but it's about the impact that you make in your community.
Okay, I think it's perfect now. Um, in one of your responses, you did say that some younger people are not so much interested in politics, which is that is what a what a shame, because they are the leaders of tomorrow, so they should be interested in politics. I know that it can be very difficult for them to emerge. That is because of the heritage that we have from colonialism, where the system. Okay, we are not talking about colonialism today, but irrespective of what might have happened, this is what it is today. So the younger people in Africa must realize that this continent, these countries in Africa belong to them. So they must look for a way to emerge. It's a difficult fight. It's a fierce fight, but they must fight their way into the position of authority. Because now, let's look at it for example. You get somebody who is very old into the position of a country that are full of younger people. Now we're going to talk about aspiration. I don't think he's thinking of anything very far. Because first, he doesn't even understand the instrument of the age. Talking of maybe technology, how to plan, how to renovate things, how to do things in a new way. So I'm beginning to wonder, these people, do they know how to come to Facebook, to YouTube, and really deliver an eloquent message that will captivate the mind of the people? Do they care about the future of the country, like how to strategize the foreign policy of this country? Because if you are a younger person, you are maybe like 30, 35, you are in your mid 40, you become the president of a country, there is no way you will not do what is right. Because if you don't do it, you still have another 40 years to reap the reward of what you have done. It is a difficult fight. To run a country is a difficult thing. Your brain need to be functioning properly for you to do that. So if you are an old man who is almost like wearing pampers, you can't do that. It is not possible. It is against the rule of nature.